Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I want you to think about this for a moment. In your living room, you look around and you say, yeah, I need something in there, need something else. And you go to a big box store and you buy a red pillow or an orange pillow, whatever it might be. There's probably a reason you did that because you wanted to feel something. Now take that on a broader scale when you work with an interior designer and you're trying to create a certain living space that gives you a certain vibe, a certain feeling. Psychologically speaking, that can be done. There's a science to it, is where I'm going with this. It's not just you hire somebody and they give you, purple drapes and let's say a plaid rug or whatever it might be. We're going to talk about that a little deeper today. And she's somebody, our professional of the year, who helps people all the time with this. Rebecca Pogonitz is back with us. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
There's a reason I have an orange wall over here. It
Uh-huh.
it resonated, it spoke to me, and I needed a pop of color, and that's the way I look at it. But I'm super excited to hear what you both have to say. You have a guest with us today, Rebecca. Who's that?
Yes, this is Wendy Singer, Executive Director of an organization very dear to my heart, No Shame on You, based out of Chicago, Illinois. And Wendy and I did a workshop together at the library on Serenity by Design, and we covered how the ins and outs of how design tools can truly impact your mental health.
Wow, Wendy, welcome. How you doing?
Great. It's an honor to be here.
I love the name of your organization, by the way. No shame on you. That really is fantastic.
Yes, we're dedicated to eliminating stigma surrounding mental health challenges. So people who need the help will seek it, and family and friends will know how to save lives. And we do it all through resource development, programming that is free to the public and accessible so people can learn more about mental health challenges. We share personal stories and all of these things, which is one of the and programming with Rebecca is so amazing. And we decided to come up with a public program called Serenity by Design, which I love the name because it's already peaceful and zen.
Sure.
And what science shows is that our brains respond to visual stimuli and aesthetics. And there's a chemical component in our brain called dopamine, which is kind of known as the happiness chemical in our brain. And it's just because it's associated with pleasure and reward. And by designing things in your home, which Rebecca will talk about, which is so cool, it actually can help release some of those chemicals scientifically. And, I love, Rebecca's mission to create spaces that are not only gorgeous, but make you feel good is so important.
Love all of this.
Yeah.
Take us through that journey, Rebecca, and we can get back into the not-for-profit in a moment. But when it comes to designing something for someone, obviously you speak to them, find out what their likes are, what they're feeling. Where does it go from there?
Well, everyone has different likes and dislikes. So I listen intently and take my knowledge and expertise and apply these design elements that do affect your mental health, such as color, spaciousness, rearranging your furniture, natural light, nature, right? We've heard that a lot. And I take all of these tools and apply it to what they've told them. At the beginning of our project, I always ask them to assemble some inspiration photos for us to discuss, even if they don't like them. For instance, some people may really want a blue room, and other people have, believe it or not, an adverse reaction to blue, or they grew up in a bright yellow room, and even though that's a happy color, they just cannot have any yellow walls, depending on where they are on their path. So we all learn and grow and evolve. So these design elements are going to affect us differently. And my job is to hone in and figure out where they are right now and hopefully what I'm doing with them now will help them evolve and thrive in the present and then ultimately the future. So, um, color is huge, right? We all know, like, I'm thinking that orange wall makes you feel more energetic or happy or probably, or maybe conjures up a memory of something.
Mix of all of them. I have a marketing
Mhm.
company. That's one of the colors in the logo, but it's there for a reason. I believe that reason is all of the things you stated, but also maybe a little cutting edge. It's not what you would normally see. You know, you don't see a lot of things that are orange. By the way, it took a long time to pick that shade. It's not
It's
just
My
orange.
perfect.
favorite
Oh, look at
color.
you.
It is my favorite color.
Wow. I'm not going to say it's my favorite color, but it's my favorite accent color. And I don't know what it is. There's just something there where it's got a little like well, a little kick to it.
Well, that's a reflection of you. I can tell you have a little kick and,
Maybe.
cutting edge dude.
But it's got to be the
Agree.
right shade. And this is what's this called? Koi, like the fish. Went through a bunch because I didn't want it to be like so bright, but then not orangey. And then I paired it with can't really see here because of lighting, but a gray wall. So you got the two. I don't really know a lot about this. I just do what comes out of here. But
Mhm.
what is it when somebody says to you, let's say, I like blues and greens. That's what I'm looking for in my living room. What does that say to you?
That says, you want to feel calm and serene and conjure up nature or possibly the ocean and I get super excited. Though blues and greens happen to be my favorite colors. I do love orange. I do love yellow, but blues and greens definitely calm me down. And that gets me all excited because I sense, first of all, I'm here to help them. And secondly,
Hmm.
I know exactly what to do for them. So the more I know, the more I can help.
It's
So
interesting
yeah.
you say that because those are my colors, but I would never have, never say never, but I'm not expecting to have orange in my living room for the reason you said.
But
So
maybe in a piece of art or
it's not that I have to have orange, but now I'm seeing this in a whole different light. It's here because I need things going on. When I'm in my living room, I'm
you
chilling.
just,
So
yeah, you just
there's the
want to
blues and the
chill.
greens. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. All right. So what about if somebody says, "Yeah, I really like browns, and I do like those yellows." What does that mean?
That they want to feel earthy and they want to live in a more, not more, but they want a sense of feeling grounded and they're feeling earthy and they're maybe they have a propensity for surrounding themselves with nature. I think of trees when I hear brown, and trees are so powerful. And when I hear
Hmm.
yellow, I just love yellow. I mean, I have this yellow jumpsuit. I've had yellow fingernails. I think of joy and the two nature, I think of brown, nature is going to ground that joy. So you have this balance, this harmonious balance. I think those are two great colors that work together.
Can you can you balance, for example, the blue and the green for the calm, and then the brown for, let's say, some grounding? Is that commonly done where you do a mix like that?
Sure. The brown can come in with the wood finishes or some really warm feeling metal finishes like bronze. And you can bring that brown in different ways. So yeah, maybe they do want a brown sofa, but it's you bring color in with different textures and materials, and the key is to bind them all together into one whole. So
Mm, what about patterns? Where's the place for patterns? And is there a way to correlate that to somebody's inner wants and likes and desires?
yeah, I have a client and she doesn't have any patterns, and it's monochromatic, no patterns in the tile, no patterns anywhere. It's just sort of this sacred Zen feeling, monochromatic. Some people love pattern. Some people love but the different patterns, you just have to balance them. So if someone has a propensity for nature, they want nature around them, then I suggest, how about something, palm leaves, or floral, or if that's too feminine for you, do you want geometric pattern? And pattern adds energy to a room. And so I think it's important to have some kind of pattern, if it's subtle, or because pattern does add energy. And
Hmm.
if it's balanced correctly, the room won't feel static, if that makes sense. So pattern's very important, but people have very specific needs. Some people will say, or if it's a couple, they'll say, do I can't do floral. He won't, that's not masculine enough. Or I love plaid and I love stripes. But depending on the plaid and the stripes, that's going to feel too heavy. It's easier within a case study. I'm talking esoterically right now, but it's all about balance in meeting your own personal psychological needs. And my job is to get to know you that well so I can heal the space. And ultimately, whether you think you need healing or not, I think we all could use some healing, right? The world, even with this whole global outage today, this week, I mean, the world is full of anxiety. Teens, and I would love for Wendy to speak to that. Teens, this day and
Hmm.
age, are just growing up in this technological world, are suffering. And Wendy, I know this is, I mean, I love doing kids' bedrooms too, but I think that,
Well, speaking of
yeah,
kids, I want to say one thing. Isn't it's also true, Rebecca, from what I've heard, is that colors, even it's nuanced. So if it's a brighter color versus a toned down version of the color, it can help be soothing. I remember, is that right, Rebecca?
yeah, like a baby
I,
nursery, I wouldn't do a bright yellow. I might do a paler, subtle yellow. Yeah.
and why I'm saying that is I used to work at a community center, and I remember when I first started, all the kids' classrooms, the school had
Mhm.
bright red, bright blue, bright pink. Each room was called the pink room, the yellow room, the blue room, the green room, and white, very bright. And then fast forward several years later, they decided, due to some kind of research, to tone it down. And it became the light blue room and the light green room, and not the purple room, but the mauve room. And so and research showed that it helps soothe the kids. They separated from their parents easier, and
Yeah,
there
they
was
feel
all this.
Hmm.
safer.
Yeah, it wasn't
Wow.
as.
Yeah.
I thought
No,
that was so interesting.
you just gave me a thought and better understanding. And especially we're talking, even teenagers challenges today. Uh, Many teenagers, like my daughter, who is now 16, have LED lights typically around their ceiling. It's kind of a thing. Maybe it's kind of
Yeah.
maybe just starting to trend out a little
Or
bit, but it's
around their
been,
bed.
yes,
Mhm.
it's been around for a while and it's cheap too. $20 on Amazon, you get, a string of them with remote control. How the point I'm bringing here is that you can change the color.
Yes.
So I noticed
So
that
true.
she might have it red some days. I might walk in. Now it's sort of like a blue, then maybe a brighter yellowy. A lot of times they're teenagers, especially teenage girls, and this is me speaking to friends too. They keep their rooms darker, but they you can change the color. So I never looked at it that way, that it's changing for a reason. There's the
It's what they're
mood.
feeling and how they want this space to feel. Yeah, the first
Yeah.
thing when I meet someone and walk into
So
a room
true.
that they've asked me to redo is I'll say, "Well, how do you want to feel here?" Not
Hmm.
just what's going to happen, but how do you want to feel here? And it's exciting. I feel so gratified when people are figuring out how to get their personal needs met, because I think a lot of people in general don't know how to get their needs met. So, you
Hmm.
know.
You're a design therapist. Really, that's what
Yeah,
I'm seeing here. And you have the biggest challenge, I would imagine, when somebody says, I don't know what I want. Now it's almost like an investigation needs to begin so you can
exactly.
figure
I
out.
love that kind of challenge.
Oh, well, look at you go. It's like
So
you're
you,
like
and it's, I think you say something so true. You probably really get to know your clients on deep levels,
yeah.
Oh
right?
my gosh, we become close friends. And then I grieve at the end of a project because we don't see each other as much and we're all so
Oh,
busy, but it's so intense, you know?
I'll
Yeah.
bet. I'll bet because there's a goal. There was an intent. I need to change up my living space. Why am I changing it up? It doesn't feel like it's me anymore, or I'm bored with it. All the same thing. So now you're set with the task of accomplishing that. But it's not just again going to a store and throwing a pillow down. This needs to be analyzed in the client to figure that out. Wow. Can you, Rebecca, can you translate any designs that came from a client telling you that they wanted something or their personality, maybe even a little bit deeper than just your average color change, maybe patterns or whatever?
I do have a client now and she has a gnome collection and
Okay.
and the gnome collection makes her so happy. And the first thing she said to me is, I want to redo my living room, but I need a home in the living room for my gnomes.
A gnome home.
And
No, mom.
and I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's the first thing I say is, are you a collector? Are there things special to you that you want to be around? And then we figure out how to incorporate that into the space that they're using. I don't know if that's answering your question.
Yeah, but since I moved, I'm in between houses now.
Mhm.
And looking for one. Market's not the best, there's not a lot of inventory and such. But I've realized that once I got rid of the stuff that was around me and pared it down, streamlined, if you will,
Mhm.
that's okay. Like I see myself more minimalistically inclined than having stuff around. But you don't know it until you make that change, or I guess you don't know until you work with somebody like yourself, that
Mhm.
who pulls that out. It was by choice, or maybe not, because I sold and then I am where I am now, and it's fine.
Mhm.
Um, but I never realized that in myself. And now I'm to the point where I walk in my bedroom, which is my favorite room, and I look on the nightstand and I'm like, you got the little tchotchkes here and there, and I try to not have too many. And I look and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's a cordless phone. I disconnected my phone service like months ago. I don't need that thing anymore. So I'm like, one less thing, wrap up the cord, throw it in the garage. I'm good with that. My point is that you realize these things as you go along in a design process. And I think you've kind of maybe figure out who you are as well.
Absolutely. It's a journey of self-discovery. And it's such, I mean, while the world is so messed up, right? And it's just feels like it's getting worse and worse. It actually gives me more purpose to my work, right?
Mm,
And speaking to you, having that feeling you want to declutter, I think people like, teenagers, some teenagers have stuff all over their rooms. And then when life gets real and there's stress during the day and everything, or you have more responsibilities, more stress, you like subconsciously crave that Zen mode because it's, as we get older, more responsibilities. I just thought about that, but it's always a journey of how to manage your mental health. I
mm.
truly believe that.
Yeah, I never
And I,
thought of it that way.
yeah, and I have two teen girls, just like you, Steve. And the first comment I want to make is anytime I go in their room, I put on an LED. I asked them to change the LED like to orange, which is so funny because I'm more comfortable in orange, and that's my favorite color. But
Hmm.
the second thing is something amazing has happened. My girls are 15 and just about 12. And just in the last 6 months, both of them, they're unfortunately they're not so organized. They follow after their mother, myself, but both of them separately this year had got to a point which sometimes happens to me where I'm like, I've had enough. I have to get rid of this clutter. I have to clean up my room and then clean up the house or whatever, and then it feels better. They both in the last 6 months had that same thing where their rooms were like disaster pits. And then they went in themselves and said, we cannot do this anymore. And they cleaned it up and they both said, I feel so much better. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, they're growing up. They're
Yep.
growing up.
You must be reading my mind because I was thinking that before, and I was actually going to say it. And when mine cleans her room, and you described her room, previously there, I give her so many compliments. Oh my gosh, look at this. Or she will take it upon herself to move like the bed in this direction and move a couple of things around. I'm like,
Oh,
wow, look
future
at that.
interior designer.
Yeah. I think she's definitely creative. However, do not open the closet door because you could get harmed. The amount of stuff, and I say, can't we just purge it? I have a box of fresh hangers in the garage. Like, what can we? No, I'll get to that. No, it's almost as if she just needs that. I don't know. I'm not the expert
Steve,
about it.
you're not alone. You are not alone. We're building a community here around messy closets because I
I
have
have
the
a
same
messy closet too.
Oh, I feel
with my
better now.
kids. With my kids, you are not alone.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? Tell me what to do about the laundry room because I just want my plastic basket back. That's all. It's full of her stuff down there. And every time I have to carry my laundry up, it's like I'm carrying it like this. I'm dropping socks all over. I just want my basket and I don't want to buy another one. And now it's got stuff, clothes from like 6 months ago in the laundry room. Like, can't listen, I'll put it in a plastic bag and I'll put it in your closet. No, yeah, I guess it's hard to break habits. I don't know what it is. Um, Rebecca, tell us how you support Wendy's organization.
Well, for many, many years, almost since its inception in 2014, I became a board member. As the founder, Miriam Ament, she was actually a client. That's how we met. And I heard about her establishing this organization, much needed organization, and I asked her if I could join the board. And I'm still here. And it's been such a fulfilling experience, solidifying my purpose in this world to make it a
Wow.
better place. And Wendy is a rock star, and she's taken No Shame on You to another level this year, right, Wendy?
We're trying. Our goal is to be accessible and to help support people who are struggling and their friends and families. And we do it through all kinds of free public programming. If you're listening right now and you're not from our base, which is the Chicagoland area, fear not. We have moved into the virtual world, which during COVID, which was tough, but it has enabled us to expand our reach and impact and do a ton of virtual programming. One program that I will call out is our virtual Feed Your Mind series. It's a monthly virtual lunch and learn type program. And we do it on a variety of mental health topics, ranging from giving yourself grace as a teen parent and having difficult, challenging conversations with your teens, which Steve, I know you can relate to being in the sandwich generation and caring for aging adults while you're caring for kids, whether they're grown or teens or younger. Seasonal affective disorder in the winter, we had a great session on.
Wow.
So all sorts of different things. So we're planning out our things for the year. And this year we're slated some really interesting topics where we're going to be talking with one organization who's going to be presenting on treatment-resistant depression, which is a real thing. And there are some cutting-edge treatments out there that some people are finding success with. So we're going to do a session on that.
Wow.
And sometimes it's positive things like adopting an attitude of gratitude and how to do that and work in life. So all with the idea of hitting different mental health topics, different strategies and coping tools for wellness, because everyone is different. If there was a handbook, we would have it, and we would all, not struggle, but that's not the
Sure.
case. So we just want to share and help people, and ultimately, we hope we save lives.
Amazing. We're out of time. I could just keep going. How do we find out more about the organization, Wendy?
www.noshameonyou, the letter U, not YOU.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Yeah, reach out and
Fantastic.
we'll add you to our roster.
Excellent. And Rebecca, thank you for introducing us to Wendy today. And how do we find you if somebody's looking to make some changes within their living space?
Reach out on my website. You can take a look at my philosophy and work there. GOGOdesigngroup.com. You can also email me, Rebecca@GOGOdesigngroup.com.
Thank you so much for today, both of you. I love what you're both doing. And
Thanks.
the words that were said before, we're on a journey to improve our mental health, whether you realize it or not, every single day, probably every single second of every day. That's what we're doing. And I didn't realize it until you said it. So thank you. And I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Wendy.
Thank you both. And we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.